Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So thank you very much. Thank you for coming in on our Friday class. Very nice to be with all of you. So, is there a question for
Yes.
this? Hmm?
Yeah. Why do I feel stressed and how to overcome it?
Why I feel stress and how to overcome? Huh?
Yes, yes.
Is there any other question besides that?
Yeah. Why is chanting Hare Krishna mantra the only method recommended for Kali Yuga? What about other methods?
Hmm. Okay. These two questions. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Why am I stressed? How to overcome stress? Hmm? So to understand that, we also have to understand the three modes of material nature. Hmm? So this modes of material nature takes over our consciousness the moment we misuse our free will and try to come to this material consciousness. Can anyone read this?
Yes, Prabhu. The living entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. But when he forgets his supreme master, the supreme personality of Godhead, he gives himself up unto the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body and, for the interest of the body, becomes attached to various activities. Sometimes he is under the influence of the mode of ignorance, sometimes the mode of passion, and sometimes the mode of goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature.
So this is what actually is happening. The moment he comes down to the material world, he gets covered by this Maya, as we say. And Maya has got three gunas: good of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So accordingly, if he takes the qualities of goodness, passion, ignorance, he develops certain qualities. So this is explained here.
Hmm.
So you can see, you can read this.
Mind and sense control, tolerance, discrimination, sticking to one's prescribed duty, truthfulness, mercy, careful study of the past and future, satisfaction in any condition, generosity, renunciation of sense gratification, faith in the spiritual master, being embarrassed at improper action, charity, simplicity, humbleness, and satisfaction within oneself are qualities of the mode of
Is
goodness.
it KVMS, right?
Material desire, great endeavor, audacity, dissatisfaction even in gain, false pride, praying for material advancement, considering oneself different and better than others, sense gratification, rash eagerness to fight, a fondness for hearing oneself praised, the tendency to ridicule others, advertising one's own prowess, and
You
justifying
used
one's
which one
action
last time?
by one's strength are qualities of the mode of passion. Intolerant anger,
Yeah.
stringiness, speaking
We use
without
KVMS
scriptural
or
authority,
redirection.
violent hatred,
Can you
Redirection.
living as a
can you
parasite.
Serial?
can
What
you
we do?
mute those who are not?
Okay, but now it's like
All right, carry on.
Violent hatred, living as a parasite, hypocrisy, chronic fatigue, quarrel, lamentation. Prabhu, a little bit up. Delusion, unhappiness, depression, sleeping too much, false expectations, fear, and laziness constitute the major qualities of the mode of ignorance. Now, please hear about the combination of these three modes.
So this is the cause of our stress and depression. Says explain here, when you're in the mode of passion and ignorance, then you fall under this category. Hmm? Passionate activities means that the person's mind is, very active. You just want to enjoy the senses. Hmm? Can you read on?
Yes. My dear Uddhava, the combination of all three modes is present in the mentality of I and mind. The ordinary transactions of this world, which are carried out through the agency of the mind, the objects of perception, the senses, and the vital airs of the physical body, are also based on the combination of the modes.
So these three modes of mental nature, they are actually controlling the consciousness of the living entity.
When a person devotes himself to religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification, the faith, wealth, and sensual enjoyment obtained by his endeavors display the interaction of the three modes of nature.
So all these activities, basically religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, faith, wealth, sensual enjoyment, all these are according to the three modes. It is described further.
When a man desires sense gratification, being attached to family life, and when he consequently becomes established in religious and occupational duties, the combination of the modes of nature is manifest. A person exhibiting qualities such as self control is understood to be predominantly in the mode of goodness. Similarly, a passionate person is recognized by his lust, and one in ignorance is recognized by his qualities such as anger.
So when a person is very calm, cool, that means he is in the mode of goodness. When a person is very passionate, then lust is very predominating. And of course, when a person is controlled by the mode of ignorance, he is always angry, you know.
Any person, whether man or woman, who worships me with loving devotion, offering his or her prescribed duties unto me, without material attachment, is understood to be situated in goodness.
So if you want to stay in the mode of goodness, then actually he has to learn how to worship the Lord. In other words, a person who is religious, hmm, who is God, you know, worshipping person, then his qualities are like this without material attachment. He's offering his services to God. So, a person who is in this category is said to be in the mood of goodness. It's not so much interested in material, so called, pursuits. See, in the mode of passion, you see,
When a person worships me by his prescribed duties with the hope of gaining material benefit, his nature should be understood to be in passion, and one who worships me with the desire to commit violence against others is in ignorance.
so here again, those who want to get material benefit, he wants to succeed in life, he want to enjoy material life. So the person who worships like that are in the mode of passion. And a person who desires to commit violence against others is in the mode of ignorance.
The three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, influence the living entity but not me. Manifesting within his mind, they induce the living entity to become attached to material bodies and other created objects. In this way, the living entity is bound up.
So he has got no independence actually. According to the modes he acquired, he is forced to act accordingly.
When the mode of goodness, which is luminous, pure, and auspicious, predominates over passion and ignorance, a man becomes endowed with happiness, virtue, knowledge, and other good qualities.
So this is how a person can become free from stress unless he come to the mode of goodness. You see here? When in the mode of goodness predominate over passion and ignorance, a man becomes endowed with happiness, virtue, knowledge, and all other good qualities. So if you are in this position, naturally you are peaceful. Hmm? But if you are not, if you are in the mode of passion and ignorance, this is what everybody is. 99% of the people, this is what it is. You can see.
When the mode of passion, which causes attachment, separatism, and activity, conquers ignorance and goodness, a man begins to work hard to acquire prestige and fortune. Thus, in the mode of passion, he experiences anxiety and struggle.
See that? This is what we call stress. Experiences anxiety and struggle. This is how he is stressed. So, in other words, if he goes down to the platform of mode of passion and ignorance, then he is really, really struggling and it's a lot of anxiety and is lamenting, and this is what happens. Hmm? And of course, in the mode of ignorance, read on.
When the mode of ignorance conquers passion and goodness, it covers one's consciousness and makes one foolish and dull. Falling into lamentation and illusion, a person in the mode of ignorance sleeps excessively, indulges in false hopes, and displays violence towards others.
So, you see this? So, if you are in this kind of consciousness, now how you can become happy? Hmm? Hey, people don't know these things. Ah, they just live. They think it's all right. No, do anything and everything. But you see how the person is controlled, how his mind is kind of completely manipulated by the modes. Hmm? Goodness, you become happy. You have got good intentions. Of course, in goodness, you will be worshipping the Lord. For the mode of passion, you are driven for lust and you want to make money. And this way, you are completely always lamenting and struggling. And of course, in the mode of ignorance, you are completely foolish and dull. You commit a lot of violence. Huh? Can read on?
When consciousness becomes clear and the senses are detached from matter, one experiences fearlessness within the material body and detachment from the material mind. You should understand this situation to be the predominance of the mode of goodness, in which one has the opportunity to realize me.
See, in the mode of goodness only, you can actually, become purified enough to go to God. If you are in the mode of passion and ignorance, you cannot, as he says here, you cannot, there's no opportunity to realize me. So if you get God, then yes, everything comes. All the good qualities, happiness, everything comes. Hmm? But if you don't have God, just to sidetrack a bit, we'll go here. See, Bhagavad Gita. नास्ति बुद्धि अयुक्तास्य न च युक्तास्य भावना न च भवयतः शांतिर अशांतास्य कुतः सुखम. You want to read?
One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
So you can see this verse explains by itself how to become happy. When we say stress free means we are free from all, unhappiness. Hmm? So if we are going to have a stressful life, then where's the question of trying to be happy? You always be bothered by so many problems, so many this, so many that. Is it not? Hmm?
Yes, true.
Correct. So people don't know these signs, They think that I can do anything I like, uh, but the result is going to be overwhelming. Then they say, "Oh, I am stressed, therefore I am depressed." Uh, but they don't know how to come out. Uh, it is not that you get into this thing and that's it. That is life and go on like that. No. If you carry on living in this stressful life, you see what happens. Hmm? We're going back to that 25 again. All right, next verse you read.
You should discern the mode of passion by its symptoms. The distortion of the intelligence because of too much activity, the inability of the perceiving senses to disentangle themselves from mundane objects, an unhealthy condition of the working physical organs, and the unsteady perplexity of the mind.
So if you go into the mode of passion, you see that the distortion of intelligence owing to too much activity. This is what's happening, passionate. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to, because they're doing so many things, highly hyperactive, then the intelligence is distorted. They cannot think properly. Hmm? And they cannot come out also. They cannot disentangle themselves also because they're caught. Huh? And when this happens, an unhealthy working condition of the organ, that means they get sick. They get sick. The organs failure, they got so many nonsense. Huh? They cannot think properly. Hmm. It's exactly what it means. He's depressed. He doesn't know what to do, what not to do, unsteady perplexity of the mind. Hmm? Can you imagine what you are driving at? When you go into the mode of passion, this is the conclusion. Of course, don't say of ignorance. Huh? Read on.
When one's higher awareness fails and finally disappears, and one is thus unable to concentrate his attention, his mind is ruined and manifests ignorance and depression. You should understand this situation to be the predominance of the mode of ignorance.
Hmm? They have the slightest clue how to come out of this. Yeah, you can go and get some pills from the doctor and you think that you pop in the pills, you'll be all right. No, you cannot be all right until you come to the mode of goodness. And mode of goodness means that you must go to God, Krishna. You're not even to the demigod. Demigods are also in charge of different modes. For example, Lord Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance. Devi, she's in charge of mode of passion. Hmm? So they are also in the modes. Demigods cannot help you. Only person who can get you out of this mess is Krishna or his expansion, like Narayana, Vishnu, like this. Hmm? So until you go to God, there's no question of coming out of your depression.
With the increase of the mode of goodness, the strength of the demigod similarly increases. When passion increases, the demoniac becomes strong. And with the rise of ignorance, O Uddhava, the strength of the most wicked increases.
See? So when you increase in your mode of passion, the demonic qualities increase. Hmm? Now, what are these demonic qualities? Let's explain here. These are all the demonic qualities.
Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them.
See, these are demonic qualities. They don't know laws, and they're not clean, and they are not even have proper behavior, and they are not truthful. Liars. Huh?
They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust.
See, this is how they are thinking. They don't believe in God at all. They're demonic. They are against anything about God. They are against. Hmm? And everything is based on sex life. That's all they think of, sex life.
Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world.
And this is what they do. Hmm? Can you imagine the consciousness that prevail when you are in the mode of passion and ignorance? Hmm? Correct? And this kind of qualities you acquire, how you can be not depressed?
Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige. The demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent.
It is all conceit, extreme lust, huh? False prestige, ahankar, illusion. They are doing some kind of work which is completely going to mess everything up. This is how they think. Hmm?
They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurably bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by illegal means for sense gratification.
See, that's their objective. How to enjoy the senses. By crook or hook or crook, anything, just get the money and that's it. They care less whether they go to hell or go to heaven or what. They just want to enjoy. Hmm? And this is how he thinks. Yeah, this is how the person thinks also. See?
The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by the aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give. Uh,
Some
I
charity.
shall give charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance.
See, like this. They are always trying to control, kill enemies. Huh? In this way, they're thinking they can become happy, powerful. Huh? You understand? You see how their consciousness, how to kill, how is my enemy, how to, you know, ruin other people's life. In this way, I will become powerful, I will become rich. Huh? This is the mentality of the demon. Hmm? So when they're stuck like this, then what happens? You see,
Thus, perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell.
huh? So if you maintain this kind of consciousness, passionate consciousness, the end result is that you will go down to hell. I don't think this is a very nice action. Okay, depression is one thing, but mind you, going to hell, that's another whole thing all. I don't think anybody who's sane would want to go in that direction. Hmm. Yes, correct.
Yes,
So you
Guru.
see how dangerous this is, to maintain a depression kind of a consciousness. Unless a person learns how to come out, then this mode of passion and ignorance is very dangerous. As Krishna said, this is enemy. Hmm? This is our real enemy, is this to go to the mode of passion and ignorance. So therefore, if you want to be avoiding your depression stage, then there's only one way, that you have to pick up yourself and come to God consciousness. Because it's all based on trying to control the mind. Unless you train to control your mind, which is the cause of all nonsense, it's going to be big trouble. Hmm?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, a person bereft of intelligence first falsely identifies himself with the material body and mind. And when such false knowledge arises within one's consciousness, material passion, the cause of great suffering, pervades the mind, which by nature is situated in goodness. Then the mind, contaminated by passion, becomes absorbed in making and changing many plans for material advancement. Thus, by constantly thinking of the modes of material nature, a foolish person is afflicted with unbearable material desires."
Sums up the whole thing. When the mind gets into the mode of passion, great suffering pervades the mind. Hmm. Great suffering. It doesn't say here you're going to get good. I mean, of course, you get momentary happiness, but this happiness based on contact with the senses is temporary. You understand? Hmm? So, therefore, one who's intelligent, can you read?
One who does not control this material senses comes under the control of material desires and is thus bewildered by the strong waves of the mode of passion. Such a person executes material activities, although clearly seeing that the result will be future unhappiness.
It's a fact. Hmm? Don't have to put two and two together. You already know what is the consequence. Yeah, actually, here, see, Udava is saying.
Although the intelligence of a learned person may be bewildered by the modes of passion and ignorance, he should again carefully bring the mind under control. By clearly seeing the contamination of the modes of nature, he does not become attached.
This is how you should learn. First, a learned and intelligent person, that means you must get some knowledge. Without getting the intelligence and being learned, how you can understand all these things, how he is working? You cannot understand because he's living like a life of an animal, right? An animal cannot understand nothing. As is explained here. Yeah. One who is actually living like an animal, then his consciousness is like this.
Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Krishna, generally human beings know that material life brings great future unhappiness, and still they try to enjoy material life. My dear Lord, how can one in knowledge act just like a dog or an ass or a goat?"
So if he has got no knowledge, then he's no better than a dog, an ass, and a goat. That's what it means here. Hmm? If you got knowledge, then you will not act like this. So therefore, this knowledge is not some material knowledge from some school, some universities. Or, no, 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 no. This is nothing to do with that kind of knowledge. This knowledge is spiritual knowledge. Understand? That's why Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. He did not speak some material knowledge. He spoke some spiritual knowledge, Paravidya. You understand? So we need to get this knowledge how to live in this material world to escape these three modes of material nature. How to become happy even here. That is the science. Ah, unfortunately, nobody is learning this thing. And then when they get depressed and they get sick and they get so many problems, then they think what to do. They go to the doctor, they get all kind of pills, it doesn't work. Then the last thing to do is hang themselves. They think this is the solution to give up the body. And then if you die prematurely like that, you'll end up as a ghost and more suffering because you have a subtle body, you don't have a gross body to enjoy. You become more frustrating. So these are all unknown. This science is unknown to a lot of people because nobody is paying attention to this subject matter that is spoken by Krishna. Hmm. But if you know, then yes, the only way to come out of this misery is to take shelter of the Lord. Huh? Unless you take shelter of the Lord, how you can understand these things? Hmm?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, pertain to material intelligence and not to the spirit soul. By development of material goodness, one can conquer the mode of passion and ignorance, and by the cultivation of transcendental goodness, one may free himself even from the material goodness.
See this is the process. In order to come out of the depressive stage, one must come to the mode of goodness. And from goodness, then he can conquer the passion and ignorance. And by coming to transcendental goodness, there's another thing new now, something above the modes of nature. That means you come in contact with Krishna. Then you even go above this goodness. And what happens if you do that?
When the living entity becomes strongly situated in the mode of goodness, then religious principles characterized by devotional service to me becomes prominent. One can strengthen the mode of goodness by cultivation of those things that are already situated in goodness, and thus religious principles arise.
Say here, unless you come to God, you cannot get this good qualities. You cannot get any good qualities. No way. And having no good qualities, you're living with bad qualities. What happiness you can get? Hmm?
Religious principles, strengthened by the mode of goodness, destroy the influence of passion and ignorance. When passion and ignorance are overcome, their original cause, irreligion, is quickly vanquished.
Hmm. So I have already explained lust and anger and all lead to all irreligious activities. And we have read the qualities of the demonic at length. And eventually a person who got demonic qualities, he goes to hell. That's even bad. Hmm?
Until one revives one's direct knowledge of the spirit soul and drives away the illusionary identification with the material body and mind caused by the three modes of nature, one must cultivate those things in the mode of goodness. By increasing the mode of goodness, one automatically can understand and practice religious principles, and by such practice, transcendental knowledge is awakened.
So that. So when you get this transcendental knowledge, you will develop all the good qualities. huh? You develop all these good qualities. huh?
All the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation becomes manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the supreme personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man?
So if a person is hovering on the mental platform, in the mode of passion and ignorance, he cannot, as we explained, cannot get any good qualities. But on the other hand, if a person is serving the Lord, he develop all the good qualities of the demigods. And what are those good qualities? Hmm? There are actually 25 of them, 26 good qualities. You see here? Can you read?
First, he is very kind to everyone. Second, he does not make anyone his enemy. Third, he is truthful. Fourth, he is equal to everyone. Fifth, no one can find any fault in him. Sixth, he is magnanimous. Seventh, he is mild. Eighth, he is always clean. Ninth, he is without possessions. 10th, he works for everyone's benefit. 11th, he is very peaceful. 12th, he is always surrendered to Krishna. 13th, he has no material desires. 14th, he is very meek. 15th, he is steady. 16th, he controls his senses. 17th, he does not eat more than required. 18th, he is not influenced by the Lord's illusionary energy. 19th, he offers respect to everyone. 20th, he does not desire any respect for himself. 21, he does he is very grave. 22nd, he is merciful. 23rd, he is friendly. 24th, he is poetic. 25th, he is expert. And 26th, he is silent.
So you see, these are the qualities uh, of someone who is God conscious, devotee. They develop all these qualities automatically. Not that he kind of go and develop this quality by himself. No, he developed them automatically. Hmm? On the other hand, if a person has got all very so-called material qualification, uh, very exalted material qualities and high birth and this and that, but if he has got no devotion to the Lord, and they all are just compared to decoration of a dead body. You can have a PhD or XYD or whatever D's. It's all going to be pointless because it is not associated with the Lord. So it has got no good, you understand? So we have to understand this very clearly. Anyway, even you get all kind of degrees and money and everything, you cannot buy happiness with that. Huh? That's not possible. Happiness is a property belonging to God. It is not your property or my property. We are only chasing after happiness. We cannot make happiness. That's not possible. Huh? It says here in this verse, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Sastram Japastapah Apranesh Shiva Dehasya Nam Mandanam Lokaranjanam.
For a person devoid of devotional service, birth in a great family or nation, knowledge of the revealed scriptures, performance of austerities and penance, and chanting of Vedic mantras are all like ornaments on a dead body. Such ornaments simply serve the concocted pleasures of the general populace.
That's all it is. You can have all the so-called material things, but at the end, it is just decoration on a dead body. What is the use of it? But on the other hand, if you try to go to Krishna, even a little bit attempt, it will save you from the greatest danger. Hmm? And what is the greatest danger? That is fear of death. Hmm? This is what Krishna explained also. You just little bit you try. Even you don't try all a lot. Ah,
In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
right. Yes. So if you really want to save, we really want to save ourselves, there's only one recourse. That is to quickly take shelter of Krishna. And it is very simply done, very easy in this. You don't have to go and pop a lot of pills or sit in Himalayas or no, 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 no. All you have to do is repeat his holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you can do that, then uh, see, all the sinful activities that we have accumulated, which is why we are suffering, uh, becomes completely nullified. You know, this is the process. Very easily, you can very quickly become happy.
Therefore, it should be understood that one is easily relieved from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord and chanting of his qualities and activities. This is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. Even if one chants the holy name of the Lord with improper pronunciation, he will achieve relief from material bondage if he chants without offenses. Ajamila, for example, was extremely sinful, but while the dying, but while dying, he merely chanted the holy name, and although calling his son, he achieved complete liberation because he remembered the name of Narayan.
Say this, if you want to become happy, if you want to become free from depression, if you want to become free from lamentation, then you must come to this platform of chanting Krishna's name. Yes. It is not that we are making it up. It is something you can experience yourself. Says here, you chant, you become happy. The word in Sanskrit is prasanatma. You see, Brahma Bhuta prasanatma, na sochite na kanchate, samaham sarva bhuteshu, mad bhakti labate param. You can see prasanatma means fully joyful. Huh? Sochiti means never lamenting. Huh? Kanchati means no more desires. You know, eh? Translation.
One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
So this is the solution if you want to come out of your depression. If you want to become free from depression, then the only way is to go to the Lord. It is not that because we are saying, because we are what we say, partial because we are, follow of Krishna. No, 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 no. You go and try any other thing you can try. You cannot. You cannot relieve yourselves. It's not possible. In fact, you're going to get into bigger and bigger trouble. You're going to get into bigger and bigger trouble only. That is all it says.
O Great One, O Supreme Lord, because of contact with displeasing circumstances and separation from pleasing circumstances, one is placed in a most regrettable position on heavenly or hellish planets, as if burning in a fire of lamentation. Although there are many remedies by which to get out of miserable life, any such remedies in material world are more miserable than the miseries themselves. Therefore, I think that the only remedy is to engage in your service. Kindly instruct me in such service.
So you can see here the only remedy is to engage in your service. You try anything, the remedy of the material world are more miserable than the miseries themselves. So you can try, you can keep trying. If you don't want to take to Krishna consciousness, there's not going to be any other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. Ah, there cannot be any other way. Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasteva gatiranyataha.
For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord.
You can try, you can go and figure it out and see if you can get any other solution. Of course, you have the freedom, free will, as we say, and see, you can come out. And if the Lord Himself declares there's no other way, and if you think you can find another way, then definitely somebody is lying. And I mind you, the Lord never lies. Huh? So, okay, I think we have dwelled in the subject quite at length. Anybody has any more questions on this? Huh? Yes? On this subject?
Prabhu, I think there is one follow-up question in the chat on this.
What is the question?
Related to the passion, mode of passion from Praveen.
Praveen, how to
Yeah,
apply this in a professional life? If Varanas to be in passion mode, otherwise it becomes difficult to sustain. Please advise how to apply this in professional world. Of course, the most passionate person is Arjuna himself, is it not? Huh? Because he has to kill. Yes or not? Is it not? So the most passionate person is Arjuna and he has to kill, correct? Then he's been advised by Krishna how to live in this passionate world. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhaya cha maya arpito mana buddhir mam evayasisya samsayaha. You want to read?
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Let him read also.
Yes.
Anyone else?
okay. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
So this is what Krishna is advising Arjuna. First, you start thinking of me. That's why our society will recommend everybody to wake up in the morning and start chanting Hare Krishna. The moment you start chanting Hare Krishna in the morning, and then after that, you go and do your work. Nobody's saying you don't do work. But think of Krishna first and then carry on your work. And this way, you will not get what we say contaminated. Hmm? But if you try to do your work and not think of Krishna, then definitely you become implicated. Correct? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, okay, I think that question is summed up. Now we'll go to, I think there was another question, isn't it, Viswambar? Hello? Is he there? Hello?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
So
So
what is
one more
the,
question is, yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, the next question is, why is chanting Hare Krishna mantra the only method recommended for Kali Yuga? What about other methods?
I already just showed the verse, no?
Yeah, 776. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no other way other than this. If you want to chant
Yeah.
other mantras, nobody is stopping you. But the main thing is to see if you can get the result of giving up all the sinful activities. If you chant a mantra, just like if I take a medicine, the solution, I mean, the objective of the medicine is to get completely relief from all material disease. But if you're taking the medicine and not getting relief, then you will change the medicine. That's common sense. Similarly, if you try to chant mantra and you're not getting purified, then something is not working. That's common sense. So if you chant Hare Krishna, you will see all your material sinful activities will disappear. This is proven fact. Yeah, of course you're free to try and see for yourself. All right, so that sums up that question, does it?